Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Before we get to Dave Petso standing by, hopefully Bill has something to say about the economy. Bill, we're going to let you make your statements and go on, and then Dave Petso and I will talk about what you've said, and we'll react, and we'll move on. But we want to make sure you had your time, Bill.
Well, I know Bill's up at 7. Dave, I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, well, it's kind of funny as I was listening to the radio that as often as I do, I wanted to compliment all of the good, submissive federal citizens that say that we are people that love freedom in our founding republic. And it's kind of funny to me because if we are submissive to the government overreach, we're not actually celebrating our founders' republic, and we're not actually celebrating Americanism. We're celebrating a degree of totalitarianism. And you know, when people talk about adherence to federal law and the FBI, and we've got to do what the FBI says, and it's a violation of the law, you know, we've got to ask ourselves what law is. When we were talking about gun control and, of course, the national popular votes in the news, we've got restrictions on freedom of speech, the media, religion. You know, the only way to be able to do that is not through statute, and most people don't know this. If the federal government has only been given limited certain things that they can do as authorized in the Constitution, then Article 5 is the only provision that can be used to be able to change it, which is why it's so dangerous. So, you know, you were talking about the social media and you're talking about them with the credit cards and all of that. That's reminiscent of China. So what I'm talking about really here is that we're not adhering to Americanist principles. We're adhering to totalitarian communist principles. And before people start to laugh, you know, start taking a look at the rules of revolution, these rules for radicals, all of these sort of dictatorial writings, and compare it to things like the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and those kinds of things. We're not celebrating Americanism here to any degree. And for anybody that says that guns are the Second Amendment protects all others, I'd like to call somebody out on that and ask them, how is that possible when it's not protecting all the others? We've got restrictions of freedom of speech. We've got restrictions on that. We've got the government that's out of control spending money. There's your economy segment. That they don't have the authority to spend, and somehow the Second Amendment is protecting all of our rights. No, it isn't. It's a facade. It's intended to do that as long as we apply the Second Amendment in its entirety. Owning a gun and carrying it in public and waving it down Main Street doesn't do a darn thing to be able to protect your other rights.
Bill, great call. We appreciate that. Dave Petso joining us. The Petso Center, Petso Financial. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin.
So let's start out economically. The president this weekend beginning to slap the tariffs on the Mexican government, the Mexican people, because they're not helping us curb the illegals coming into town. Many Republicans say this is bad. It's a misuse of presidential authority. To quote the wonderful William O'Reilly, what say you?
I say, I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know constitutionally if this is okay or not. I assume it is. But I also understand that this is a president that has made a pledge and feels personally that getting control of the borders is a priority. Congress won't do anything. And Congress under the Republicans did nothing as well. So, but they're certainly not going to under the Democrats. They think they have a winning issue for 2020 is the border situation. I disagree with that, but I think that the Democrats do think they have a winning issue. So they are not going to try to do a deal and stop this crisis. So the president's taking it upon himself to say Mexico has to do more. And I don't think anybody truly disagrees that Mexico intentionally just pushes their folks across the border.
Oh, so I do.
You don't think you think they do?
I think they intentionally do that. Because,
well, yes, that's what I was saying.
Oh.
I don't think anybody thinks that they don't do that.
It's a little early.
It's okay. That's all right. No, right. I think they do that intentionally.
I'm always on guard, yes.
I know. Wow. It was so I just had to clarify that. Anyway, maybe I said it wrong, Kevin. It could be. But I think that people don't disagree that that's intentionally happening at the border, and the president wants it stopped, and talking about it hasn't done a thing, so now he's taking action.
Also, the Trump administration saying the tariffs on Mexico won't derail the new NAFTA. Top officials in the Trump administration said, according to Reuters, that the proposed tariffs on Mexican imports are meant to affect immigration talks. They still think the new NAFTA will be approved. Is that a good thing?
It's a very good thing. We need to move forward with it. The improvements are, again, I'm not a trade expert, so I can't tell you that this specifically is better. I have to trust it.
Comparatively speaking, but you are the trade expert in the room.
In the room.
Right. But we take a look at the impact it has on the farmers. You have the people in Iowa, they're mad, they're upset. You have the president saying to the farmers, look, I'm going to give you subsidies to get through this, and we'll get to the Chinese in a minute. But that does impact agriculture, and I think Mexico might be number one and China number two when we're talking about international trading partners of Idaho.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, really, number 1 and 2 for Idaho.
I know China is either 1 or 2, and I'm sure whichever, if they're 1, then Mexico is 2.
Bound to be. Mexico's got to be way up there.
Right.
No question. But it is also one of those things where we are clearly the importer. Mexico, we don't export much of anything to, except maybe auto parts to put them together and bring them back.
Right.
So there's really not much. I don't think Mexico has any leverage, if you will, on this. I don't know what they would do if there was an actual reduction in trade with the United States. This would be devastating to Mexico.
Well, it has having an impact on Iran over the weekend. ABC News, Martha Raddatz is in Tehran at the Grand Bazaar, and she's actually making the Iranians, the state sponsors of terrorism, actually appear to be victims of the Trump sanctions. So we see that going on. Let's talk China. Trade talks continuing. The president defending it, saying, look, this is what's going to happen. We're not seeing that much of an impact, and he will continue on putting, with this trade war. By the way, your beloved markets did not respond favorably last week.
Or the whole month.
Right. But when the president talked about the Mexican tariffs, that did impact your beloved markets.
It did. No, it's a trade war escalations have been the reason that May was a tough month for the markets, and certainly any escalation, meaning we're bringing another country into that in the form of Mexico, certainly sent the markets down on Friday.
So the president's saying, look, I'm defending the tariffs on the Chinese goods. There'll be no visible increase in the cost of inflation. The Chinese have been ripping us off. My predecessors didn't do it. I'm standing up. And then you have a lot of people whining and complaining, though, about it.
They whine and complain if Trump cured cancer. It would be a conspiracy of some kind. They don't like the man, and this is something, though, that has not been done. He's quite right. From CEOs to Democrats that can actually not just hate. Everybody agrees that China is a bad actor, and they have to do something about it. And this president is willing to do it. And his predecessors, as he points out correctly, have not done a thing about it. They've let him to continue to steal technology, and it's reached a point now where China is a very dangerous foe and has a stated objective of ruling the world. So that is a bit of a problem when you continue to let them just get away with stealing whatever they need.
All right, coming up, it is everywhere. Google. We'll ask Dave Petzo about the Department of Justice looking into potential antitrust violations at Google. But let's talk a little bit about interest rates.
Yep.
Apparently now, your people, the traders, are more sure than ever that the Fed's next move is a rate cut. What does that really mean? Can you translate that to us? Does that mean anything for car loans or credit cards?
It already means that, Kevin. In other words, interest rates have been tipping lower, and when we're talking about home mortgages now are down to 4% and below now. That's quite a drop from where we were a year ago. A lot of people think that'll help ignite another a little bit of a housing recovery here. In other words, prices have been going down. We don't need it in this area, Kevin. No question about it. Interest rates could rise, but around the United States, housing sales have slowed down. Prices have increased so much, it's taken people out of the market. This will help put them back in.
You love the Treasure Valley.
I love the Treasure Valley.
More in particular, you're a Boise guy. You love Boise.
I love the whole valley.
Right, but you're a Boise guy, right?
I live in Boise.
Right.
Yep.
No need to be defensive about it, Dave Petzo. Here at KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. So, big announcement last week. We are building communities with homes made out of shipping containers for affordable housing. Is that progress? Is that something that everyone should be proud of? Look, Nothing against the people that are going to live there. They have to live somewhere, and they,
Right.
this is what they can afford. And God bless them, they can find affordable housing. But
Yep.
we're building communities made of shipping containers now. Is that America?
It is to a degree. Yes, we have a problem with affordable housing. We're trying to solve it, and to me, that is American. However, we solve it. If we're going to turn around and just give people houses, that doesn't seem to work. We have projects in every community or large city around the country, and none of them is anything except a place where there's very high crime. So I don't know that this is going to be any different, Kevin, but I have to have some hope that this is a different solution. Small homes, very inexpensive to bring in, and find some land, slap them together, and give people their own independent house. If they're working, it's
right.
affordable. What messes up these project situations or low-income housing is when you get people in there that are not working. They are, whether it's disabled, welfare recipients, what have you. It creates a different environment. And again, I'm sorry for those folks, and I know it sounds insensitive, but when you create that environment of people that are not working, there's no worth, and there's no worth throughout that area, then you're going to see high crime.
Sure. And then you have these homes that, the rent very affordable, but I'm thinking to myself, maybe it has reached that level that, we're celebrating this. And they're nice homes, but they're shipping containers.
I know.
And again, not bagging on people for it, but just the idea that this is the move of the future. And we talk about, every American generation had a vision, had a goal, did better than the previous generation.
Right.
Here in the Treasure Valley, where people are concerned about their kids getting jobs, their kids staying, their kids' future,
Yeah.
instead of buying the $400,000, $500,000 house that are starter homes, all of a sudden now it's a shipping container.
Well, if you're going to live in a big city with very, very expensive housing,
Well, we're not a big city.
well, and we don't have $500,000 starter homes. You can live out in Caldwell, and you can get something that's quite a bit less. Nampa, Caldwell, what have you.
300. Trust me, I know, 300.
Well, that's not the average price of a home. But at
We'll
any
agree to-
rate,
we'll agree to disagree on that
there are homes available the further out you go. You want to be in right in Boise, it's going to be much more expensive, and it is. And so my point there is that we do have options, and people can commute and live further out. They did in L.A. for years and still do, and they do in Seattle every day.
So now we've become baby Portland.
As we get bigger, we will.
And there's
will.
nothing that really can be done about this.
Well, I don't know what you would do.
I would start building north. I would start building, or
I don't know
north,
why
whatever,
we
towards
don't
Mount-
build out
Mountain
towards
Home.
Mountain Home.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. Create more houses out there. There's got to be a problem, Kevin. I've always wondered if somebody out there knows what that is, because there's always been a reason why. Is it because it's too windy out there? There's no water? I don't know. But there is certainly ability to get water there for housing. And so I don't know why we don't go that direction, but we haven't.
Well, we'd have to talk to your mayor about that. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up next, the government's looking at Google. What does Dave Petzo think? Plus your reaction next. KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Dave Petzo joining us, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, Money Matters. Every Saturday, before we get to Google versus the United States of America, I want to talk about a friend of yours. This is it for her, a broadcasting legend and icon. Dee Sarton hanging it up at Channel 7 this week. We've been seeing these things about Dee Sarton, about her career, about her life, about sharing her life for, 30, 40 years, something like that on Channel 7. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on the Dee Sarton's retiring?
I wish she wasn't, but life moves on. I just, wow, what an amazing lady she is. She is just the nicest person, and she is. She really gives to the community. Foster kids are her big passion, and
Wednesday's Child, yeah.
Yeah, and she just, she spends so much time behind the scenes with that as well. She's the real deal. She's going to be missed, and I think it is. It's one of those things. You look in the mirror and you go, yeah, I guess the world does move on, and including the years crawling by on each of us, and you and I were talking about. I guess it's just one of those things that someday we're not that far away. We're going to be thinking about retiring, or who knows. It's interesting. But yes, you're right. There's been a number of changes over at Channel 7, and I hope that hope that the new folks that come in are going to be just as strong, because they were such a community team over at Channel 7. It's a big part of our community.
Well, you're still Channel 7.
I'm still there. I'm still anchoring the Monday mornings.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then cruising over here. But you take a look at Dee Sarton, and for people that aren't familiar with her, she's been at Channel 7 for many, many years, had opportunities to go to other places, chose to stay here in Idaho. And, you know, one of her many legacies, obviously, Wednesday's Child, where they profile a child, they try and get him adopted, get her adopted, really is a heartwarming segment. And it says a lot about Channel 7. And even just watching some of the promos, Dee Sarton not talking about herself, but talking about how the company, Channel 7, gave her the opportunity to do so many things. And having worked with her the last few years, I think the last 5 years, with the Treasure Valley God and Country Show, which will be coming up very soon, I think June 26th. That's a Wednesday. And having had a chance to work with her and Carolyn Holly, she's just amazing how she can get the trains running on time, and wonderful MC, and really a person that we'll all miss on TV, but we'll see her around. You know, Dee Sarton's the type of person, you know, you learn a lot from people. And one of my favorite places to go, like you go to Reno, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I go to the 10 Mile Albertsons in Meridian. That's my hangout. And one day I'm just in there looking disheveled as usual. Dee Sarton's in there. And she'd walk down one aisle. Now, I wasn't stalking her. Don't give me that look.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing what you can learn from her. Is she would go down like 5 feet. She was trying to do her shopping. And you had just people coming up to her the whole time. When she checked out, on her way out, in the parking lot. And always took the time to do that. And I think that's what makes the people here so special. Larry Gebert.
Yep.
The same way.
Yep.
Mark Johnson. But they just take that time, which is rare in other places.
Yeah. They don't think they're superstars. They're certainly very, very well known in this community, but they love this community and they love the people in the community. So, I like I said, she's the real deal, and she's going to be missed, and no doubt about that. She's just everything you think she is, and probably a lot more. Just a sweet person.
I'll be interested to find out her latest adventures. Coming up next, Dave Petzo takes on Amazon. Well, not really. We'll explain next. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. All right, he's no Garth Brooks. He's our friend Dave Petzo. By the way,
yes,
you're a big Garth Brooks guy?
Not a big Garth Brooks guy, no. But he's great. I mean, I like his music.
Well, everybody has been indoctrinated that Garth Brooks is great. Still tickets available for Garth #2. So what does that say?
I didn't know that there was tickets available. I thought it was all sold out.
Right. The first one was. Then they had another one that went on sale. What is it, like 40,000 people?
Yeah.
And you have, and that's huge. That's huge for Bronco Stadium. Then you have, other areas where they fill up like 60, 80,000 people. I'm trying to figure out what the appeal is. Now, you go to concerts, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. To sit in, do you sit front row?
I'd love to sit front row, but the answer is no, I don't.
You're, again, being a consistent fiscal conservative.
I'm afraid, I know. People,
so,
yeah.
Right, so let's say the seats that you can get, which are high up, or so. I'm not speaking about you. You're probably middle row then, right?
Try to get something that's reasonable,
sure, right.
Yeah.
So, okay, you get the live music, but you have to see everything on the screen, so maybe it's the community experience. Is that how you
That part of it, yeah. There is a vibe when you're there. There's no doubt about it.
A
vibe, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of, I'm channeling my 80s.
Right. So to me, it would be a lot of sweaty people.
If there's a lot of dancing, people are getting
and
pretty
a lot
sweaty.
Of traffic.
And a lot of fun.
Right, a lot of traffic to deal with.
And there is a lot of traffic. Kevin, you're going to have to stay in your bunker because this is a lot of people. And yes, it is. No, that's part of the whole experience. Is the whole ruckus,
sweaty
fun,
people, traffic.
And traffic.
Okay. Kind of sounds like this program. Here we have it. DOJ looking at going after Google and their advertising practices. They've not yet decided whether to open a case against the company, according to the New York Times last week.
Yeah, this is a kind of, to me, it's an about time, and everybody knew something like this was coming, whether it was Facebook, it was Google, maybe all of them. Amazon should be looked at too. There's too much power centered on a few of them where they really are, where we're not seeing new innovation. That's the big thing, where you have a new company is coming up and they look like they might be dangerous. They just simply go out and spend $1 billion and buy them, and this company never exists. So, again, there's so much money centered in these tech companies that we do have to be careful, and they do need to be looked at for anti-competition reasons.
Bring back the Sherman Antitrust Act, maybe on you.
Well, it's yeah. Well, it's not bringing it back. It's always been there, and they look at it whenever there's a buyout, a merger, things like that. But Kevin, this is kind of a big deal, and throughout the tech world, because they are very, very powerful, and it is it is something that I think they're going to look into it. I do. They haven't opened a case, but I think they will.
Finally, Dave Petzo, anything else that we should be looking out for today?
It's all about trade. It's all about trade right now, and if the Chinese, we're one announcement away from a 5% day on the upside. But it doesn't have to be a deal. It just has to be that they sit down and are talking again rather than ratcheting it up on both sides. But that's where we're at. We're caught in this loop right now. The economy is good so far. It ignores any kind of trade tensions at all, and the economy keeps growing. So right now we're in good shape, but the trade talks are the focus for the market.
All right, Dave Petzo will be focused in on that. Thank you, sir.
We'll see you soon, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you. And you'll be on the road this week for Money Matters.
I am. I have a conference, yes, and so I'll be calling that in.
How convenient.
Yeah.
By the beach, folks, by the beach.
Yes, we have to have some beach time while we're conferencing.
Well put. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. All right, Jeff in Nampa, we will get to you. I am sorry that we didn't get to you yet, sir. First, KIDO Talk Radio is your home for Fox News on the radio here in the Treasure Valley. When you hear Fox News, you're hearing KIDO Talk Radio on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Rachel Sutherland joins us from Capitol Hill. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So the president, he's got a new hairstyle. He's in London, and he's slapping the tariffs on the Mexican government. Wow, a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot is happening with the administration, even though the president's on the state visit to the UK. But he is definitely provoking Mexico because they've sent a delegation to Washington to have some high-level talks about what is the plan going forward with these tariffs. Because 1 week from today, the 5% across-the-board tariff would go into effect. So they're trying to work out some kind of a deal so that won't happen. There's been a lot of backlash even within the president's own party on this. Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican, doesn't like the plan since it goes beyond what presidential tariff authority is all about. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is actually thinking about taking legal action too, Kevin. It's interesting. They've broken down state by state which states would be most affected by the tariffs, and number one is Texas, and they outlined the economic impacts for these states. It's really quite fascinating.
Indeed, of course, the president in London, and this is going on, and you have, as often to happen, some people breaking ranks with him. Rachel, as you've described, prominent Republicans having an issue with this proposed tariff on the Mexican government.
That's right. Yeah, they don't. They're not in agreement. There are some who are backing the president, like Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. He said that he backs the president's move here, and he's doing this based on a 1977 law that will allow tariffs in certain situations. But this has been used mostly to clamp down with sanctions on Al Qaeda or Iran and other kind of rogue entities, not necessarily Mexico. So this is a new way of doing this, and certainly hasn't been used in this way in a trade type of thing. This isn't really about trade. It's about wanting Mexico to do more to stop the flow of migrants over the border. One thing that is under discussion, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney has said that why doesn't Mexico secure the border with Guatemala? Because most of these people are coming from Central America, and it's only 700 miles long as opposed to our much longer border. So they may be working out some kind of a deal there.
Right, and that really is what it comes down to. Some people questioning whether or not the president has enough power to do it. It'll be interesting to see how the Mexican government reacts to this.
Right. There's actually going to be a news conference, I believe, here shortly by one of the top officials, and so we'll find out what kind of progress is being made.
Rachel, we always appreciate you on top of the story. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. And Jeff in Nampa, thank you for waiting. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
Morning, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, I apologize for keeping you on so long. Thank you for waiting.
No, that's okay. Don't worry.
Sure, go ahead, Jeff. We'll get back to Jeff in a minute. Phone issues. By the way, the president having this to say concerning the Mexican government and stopping the illegals from coming in.
And if the Democrats would wise up and give us the proper laws, the proper immigration laws, we could solve the problem in one day. But in the meantime, Mexico can do it. And by the way, beyond the immigration laws, Mexico should be doing it. What Mexico's been doing to this country for so many years, like 25 to 30 years, with drugs and human trafficking and illegals all pouring through Mexico, no good. And caravans, no good.
There we have it, the president of the United States laying down the smack, saying, look, the time of taking advantage of America is over. One more time for Jeff. Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Kevin. Sorry about that.
No worries. We're standing by at the ready, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, some of the earlier callers kind of made me feel a little bit outraged, over the guns and the marijuana thing. I don't really own guns myself, but if I did want to own one, I feel like I should be able to. I feel like an armed society is a safe society. When these people are looking for reasons to take guns away from ordinary citizens and make criminals out of them for nothing. I just don't understand that. When we were kids, we called Idaho the Mormon Power Grid. That's when we were kids, that's what we called Idaho because there was more Mormons here than anything. And I really don't feel like they've got it exactly right. That's the one thing they got right is the Saturday Sabbath. Because what is sin? John chapter 3, verse 4 says, sin is nothing other than transgression of the law. It's not smoking a joint or, we know what sin is. It's transgression of the law, God's law.
And so, Jeff, what you're referring to is earlier people were calling in, primarily liberal Steve, saying that when you fill out your form to get a firearm, it says, did you smoke or have you taken illegal drugs? And if you lie on that or if you say it, then you shouldn't be allowed to carry a weapon is what you're responding to.
I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because also there might be on there, do you drink, do you take any form of medication? There's probably other things that should be added on there.
Well, you bring up
a little ridiculous.
You bring up a good point, and what hasn't been reported by just about anybody is when you go to your doctor, and the first thing they ask you is, "Hey, here, how about your copay?" And the second thing they say is, "Are you depressed? Are you upset?" And they turn that over to the government. And I'm thinking to myself, it's none of your business. People go through ups and downs all day long, but, the idea of all of a sudden the nanny state asking me whether I'm depressed or if I'm using this or that, to me, that's a way of trying to disarm people in America.
I totally agree with that. And I think an armed society is a safe society. If everybody was packing, there would probably be less violence and less crime.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Good day.
Good talk. KIDO Talk Radio. By the way, we were talking earlier about, everybody has a solution to the gun violence. everybody has a solution. We need more laws. We need more protections, because signs and protections, that actually, making guns illegal will stop the bad people from going after the good people, right?
And as an upstate congresswoman, I had an A rating by the NRA. And when it became senator, I had a proud F. I've had that proud F for 10 years, and I'm very delighted to have a proud F. Because the truth is, it wasn't good enough to care only about your backyard. You've got to care about communities across this country. And so, Chris, when I talk about this in red places and blue places and purple places, it is the same message. None of us support a 4-year-old dying on a bench in Brooklyn. None of us support what happened at Sandy Hook. None of us support what happened in Virginia Beach. That's the truth of it. And don't let the NRA stand and speak for you, because they don't.
There we have it. Kristen Gillibrand from her town hall meeting via the Fox News channel. This is what she had to say about guns.
So it's not about one gun death, Chris, because if it was, we would have done this long ago. We would have done something after the Sandy Hook shooting. We would have done something after the hundreds of gun deaths we've seen under President Trump and over the last decade. But Congress has no guts. They got no spine, because they're bought and paid for.
There we have it. Kristen Gillibrand saying, well, what has she done in Congress? What has Beto O'Rourke done in Congress? Over the weekend, Chuck Todd asking Beto, what his deal was. Why don't we just call him Robbie or Bobby O'Rourke? Said, hey, man, what did you ever accomplish? Well, I was in Congress. Well, what'd you do while you were in Congress? I was in Congress. Okay. Now we have an email in from Sally. Sally giving us review and commentary on the news here. Does it mean Idaho is now urban when Maggie is reporting on a bull that wandered near a school, and she makes it sound outrageous? Do farmers need to be put on notice out there? Breeding season, bulls may roam. Not diminishing the story, but we do live in an ag state. And I believe probably the old Canyon County Animal Shelter, now known as the West Valley Humane Society, was the one where the bull was taken. Not an animal shelter in Caldwell. That's where all the, horses, dogs, cats, roosters, owls, they have it all there at the old Canyon County Animal Shelter, now known as the West Valley Humane Society. But there was a bull on the loose. I don't know if you'd ever see that in Boise. Tess joins us now with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tess.
Hi, what a beautiful day here in the Treasure Valley. What a beautiful day. Well, one of the things I wanted to say is that, I listen to people talking and being concerned about the tariffs that Trump wants to do, but, certainly something has to be done. About 6 weeks ago, I had called in to tell you a story about my son-in-law, whose cousin lives down in Idaho Falls, Idaho, working at a gas station, and while he was there, a busload of individuals drove up, except the individuals were not sitting in the seat. Where they came from was when the driver got out, opened up the luggage compartments underneath this tour bus, and out came what they counted as 40 individuals who came out of the bus, and then some took off walking, some took off running, and a few were picked up by vehicle. So last night here in Boise at the Walmart at Overland and Cole, I drove in there, and sure enough, there were two large, older-looking buses that indicated they were some type of a tour bus with almost unidentifiable Mexican state license plates on them. And I took photographs of them. I emailed them to you. And when I went into the store, I counted just over 70 individuals. And then later on, I saw several standing outside, walking around in the store, and they were all buying backpacks. As a matter of fact, when I was trying on clothes, someone came to the back and said, we need more backpacks. And the staff said, we don't have any. We've sold them here. So what I saw were individuals who were adults, all male, no female, no children, certainly not migrant workers, certainly not tourists from their dress and demeanor. Some had big tattoos on the backs of their necks. Some were pretty poorly dressed. Some already had backpacks or man bags with them. None of them appeared to have very much money with them. And several did come out of the store and were laying on the lawn areas outside of the store, walking through the parking areas. So those individuals are already here. And I say this because I've heard stories on the radio about these tour buses coming through. No one said where they're coming from. But most certainly the individuals that were here in the Boise area last night were part of that group coming up from Mexico. From where, I don't know. I only know that one individual I saw with a large backpack leave the bus area and was walking towards Boise. So you have to ask yourself, where are these individuals going to? If they have no jobs, no work, well, they have to go to your home to get what they need.
Tess, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
So it's not about one gun death, Chris, because if it was, we would have done this long ago. We would have done something after the Sandy Hook shooting. We would have done something after the hundreds of gun deaths we've seen under President Trump and over the last decade. But Congress has no guts. They got no spine because they're bought and paid for.
Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. So there we have the town hall meeting with Kristen Gillibrand. Really, again, taking her calls about this issue, and the President of the United States sounding off about tariffs against the Mexican government. We'll get to that and your reaction. Joining the conversation, Liberty Linda on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Yes, well, is this the famous Kevin Miller show?
I don't know about famous, but infamous, notorious.
Okay, all right. I only heard famous. So, but anyway, Lindsay and Liberty Linda agrees with President Trump, about Mexico. So there's another one with Lindsay.
There we have it.
Yeah, and then, why can't we go to the individual states, Kevin, and have them close their individual borders? Now, I don't think Congress can say anything about that, can they?
Well, we'll see about that. But, what a disservice the Democrats under Pelosi, Nadler, Schumer are doing to our great nation. Here we have people coming in, twice the number that have been coming in. We're putting them on buses, shipping them all over the place. And they're not here legally. They're a drain on our system. And no one except Donald John Trump is standing up for the United States of America. Surely the Republicans didn't do it in the House when they had both the House and the Senate.
If people in the United States can't see what's going on, and we know what they're coming in for. They're coming in to vote for the Democrats, and we know that. And, we can't handle it in this country anymore. It's unbelievable about what's going on, and thankful to people like you, Kevin, that are standing up for our nation. And, our founding fathers put that in the Constitution about they wanted to make sure that the people here in the United States could defend themselves, could defend this country. That's why it was in there. It was in there for good reasons, and we need it. That's one of the most important things in our Constitution. And why people are fighting, why people are fighting to get that out, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, except for people like the person at Virginia Beach. Have we heard his name yet that it was the shooter?
Well, I we'll have to look into that. I believe his name has been released.
Oh, well, I haven't heard it yet. But anyway, I'm a late riser in the morning, so. But anyway, another great show, and it's good to hear Liberal Steve calling in again. We know he's still out there.
He's still alive and with us. Liberty Linda, thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Still listening.
Thanks. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. Thank you, Larry. Briefly, over the weekend, the California Democratic Party had their parade, their party, their convention. There we go. There, we'll get it right. It's a little early. And former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, he's a Democrat. By the way, another Democrat running for president. What are they up to, 25, 30? He warned his party against the socialism. Let's hear how he was received by those good old California Democrats.
Socialism is not the answer. I was reelected in a purple state in 2014, one of the worst years for Democrats in a quarter century. I was want to give Americans a reason to look forward to tomorrow.
There we have it. Looking forward to another hour with you. We're rolling. Stay with us. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.